University has negotiated in good faith and offered the nurses a compensation package that includes competitive across-the-board increases of at least 3%. Adding, the university has committed to keeping staffing levels where they are, and they say those levels are the best in the state. You have Congressman Mike Rogers, the Republican chairman of the House Intelligence Committee from my home state of Michigan, saying the decision will threaten the lives of American soldiers for years to come. Okay, so this is our last story before we get out of here, and then it's all Woody all the time. And I'm so happy we can talk about the end of an era for a one-of-a-kind squirrel.
Pour one out for Twiggy.
16 million people in America are in unions. And if you're asking me, do I want to join a union now? I'm really questioning that. We know that's tied to wages. We know that's tied to wages.
Hilary.
I think the optics are a problem. It's beyond the politics. It's also about the state of unions, I think, across the country. I think a lot of people are probably skeptical seeing what happened here and the fact that you had previous denials from top executives on both sides. A lot of people would be, I think, really hesitant to join a union, even though we know that that is certainly tied, the strength of unions is tied to how the middle class does in America. They say the reasons they wear red: patience, safety, integrity, solidarity. Why nurses at the University of Michigan Health System showed up in force in Ann Arbor seeking what they believe is a fair contract. Here's more on what they want and why they lobbied for it. So the city is also closing its doors on Fridays to save some money. They're also looking at the library possibly as a place to have additional cuts. Hugh and Monica.
But Hilary, you have to wonder if any of these council members are worried that they could be recalled or voted out by some of these angry voters.
Yeah, that's always a possibility, I think, when you have anything that's as heated as this. But I think it's also important for us as journalists to look at the room and sort of take the pulse of the community. I would say about 2/3 of the people who were there tonight said that absolutely this was necessary. They clapped as that $9 million came to fruition. There were about a third who didn't like it when the naysayers got up and said this could be potentially problematic. And of course, this is a hardship for a lot of people to bear, especially if they're on a fixed income. But overwhelmingly, they're in the place, Frazier, that a lot of communities across Michigan are in. They're in a tough spot where they have to make cuts and raise taxes. It's something that's going on in the state, and it's something that residents face boldly tonight. Huel? Now again, this is a shot of Demetrius Lorenzo Peel. We just got this image from police literally minutes ago. This is the person they're looking for. This is the person who was carrying that small child out earlier tonight, the 3-year-old who had been shot in the face. If you know this person, if this person seems familiar to you, you know where he might be, 22 years old, Detroit police tonight absolutely want to hear from you. They are also saying that this small child was inside with his 1-year-old sibling, the mother inside as well, and that right now the details they have are really not adding up, the story that they're told and the evidence that they're reviewing tonight. On Detroit's east side, I'm Hilary Golston, Fox 2 News. Taryn and Huel, the boy shot and killed, but the big questions are how and why. It's something police are trying to piece together tonight. Now, mom said that her boyfriend had some kind of argument with neighbors and that it was the neighbors that shot up the apartment. But mom's story doesn't seem to match the evidence. Police saying whatever happened happened inside of that apartment. And now tonight, the thing they're looking for is this man. Demetrius Lorenzo Peels, 22, 5'9", 175 pounds, and the man Detroit police want to speak with after his girlfriend's 3-year-old son was shot in the face and killed Wednesday night.
His head just going like this. I just keep like just blinking in and out, so I go in the house and check on the little baby. I go in the house, I see blood everywhere.
Sources say it took place in the bedroom where there was a large pool of blood and other details too graphic to report.
It was like a whole bunch of commotion, and I seen like them running out with the baby and stuff, like, oh no, no.
Police say it was Peels who came out with the child in his arms. The toddler would later die at the hospital.
I don't know what to say about it. You know, it's sad. It really is sad, and I don't know why, but it seems like just a stream that goes on. Just like weekly, you hear about somebody getting shot, somebody getting killed.
The shooting happened around 7:30 at Rossiter and Meringue, and again, police think it happened inside of these apartments here.
It's senseless. There's no reason for any child to lose their lives, let alone a 3-year-old, and to have a weapon inside of a house, whether it was accidental, whatever the circumstances was, this should never happen. It should never happen, and it's inexcusable.
One thing that's absolutely certain, police want to speak with Peels about what really happened, as the evidence and the story told don't seem to add up. And that is exactly why they really want anyone who may have information about Peels' whereabouts to reach out to Detroit police as they conduct their investigation. And of course, the assistant chief tonight, Williams, telling us if you are watching Mr. Peels, to go to your local precinct, turn yourself in so they can ask you some questions. Now, we also were learning from police that Peels does have a record of breaking and entering, and that's what this alleged dispute was about. But again, police are saying that whatever happened inside of that apartment, not coming from the outside. In Detroit, I'm Hilary Golston, on The Edge.
So, Hilary, what is the child's mother saying about all of this?
Yeah, the mother has given a very specific story. She is saying that there was some kind of argument between her boyfriend and some neighbors, that there was a dispute, and that the dispute had to do with breaking and entering. And then at that point, the neighbors, according to her, again, only according to her, started shooting, and they shot up the apartment. But what police have told us consistently tonight is that that evidence that they've collected does not match Mom's story. They're saying that the shots were fired from inside of that apartment. So you can see there's something, Huel, of a discrepancy here, and that's why it is so critical that they talk to Mr. Peels tonight, Huel.
The investigation continues. Hilary.
Taryn and Huel, some of the specifics the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office says will have to come out during official proceedings, but the allegations, though, are pretty damning that this singer was behind the wheel when the bullets started flying, killing a man. Her family and the people who loved her, though, are saying this isn't her. They stand behind her. They say she's all about her music and her child. Jameek Dismuke on YouTube. She labeled it with a warning. CG-18. CG apparently meaning Cannon Gang.
I had to work hard as hell, see my vision wasn't cheap.
The warning from this aspiring R&B singer in the video, one her alleged victims likely didn't realize they needed to heed. Authorities say 25-year-old David Brown was shot 6 times and killed while he sat in his car. Another man in the vehicle also hit. An SUV reportedly pulled up and started firing.
I was terrified.
Curtis Davis says he also was in the car with Brown at Cadillac and Moffett when the bullets came from nowhere, it seemed. All this happening in mid-November.
It's terrible. I think about it every night. It was the worst thing I've ever been through in my life.
The worst kind of experience, losing his cousin and being right there as the whole thing went down.
It started shooting out of nowhere.
Did you get a look at who was in the car?
No, I was in the back seat. I couldn't really see what was going on.
Our goal is always to get to the truth
of
the matter.
Please do, because that baby is innocent.
Okay.
She innocent. She never went to pick up nobody to do a drive-by.
The godmother of Jameek's son standing behind her tonight, saying she would never do something like this, especially to her baby.
I can't believe they're trying to do that to her, because I won't believe that.
You won't believe it.
I won't believe it, because her son, that's her life.
Okay.
That girl ain't never been into nothing. You ask anybody around here, they would tell you the same thing. You never see no activity coming out of her house.
The people who care for Jameek see a different image. The glamorous pose Dismuke strikes in her videos, not the booking photo of a woman now charged with homicide, murder in the first degree. And Davis says that there were children in the back of the vehicle when those bullets were flying their way. His brother, he says, was also in the car in the front seat. He was struck but was able to get away with his life. He says even the bullets ricocheted and some others in the car were struck. This was incredibly brutal. You have to understand that this man was beaten in the head several times while he was unconscious. It was merciless. And at first he really didn't want to talk to us. He didn't want to be transported back to that night and the terrible things that happened, but decided that he would. Now, one of the worst things perhaps about this case, the prosecutor saying that this victim tried to step in to stop the fight. You strike me as a brave man, you really do, and I only wish you the best.
I mean, I really have literally, like my arm says, fear no evil. I fear nothing. So, you literally go toward things head on.
The fight, a whole lot of vile behavior and what some would call downright evil. The 23-year-old man you see here beat over and over again, kicked in the head while he was unconscious. Tonight, he's speaking exclusively with us. What was going through your mind?
Honestly, Nothing. I was out, remember?
This was traumatic, and he doesn't want his face shown up close anymore. Even seeing this video shared thousands of times on Facebook, he thinks
There was no thoughts in my head when I saw the video. Just, yeah, literally like no thought.
still numb from what happened. His sister and dad, who spoke with Fox 2 earlier, know exactly what they feel.
You laughing and you posting it on Facebook like it's a joke.
For them to just keep on beating him like that while he was unconscious, they could have killed him.
You don't get to come in Detroit and engage in that kind of behavior.
The chief vowing to get 6 men seen mercilessly beating a man, and they did. He was just celebrating his 23rd birthday. Smiles on faces in this Facebook video, erased now for what was not anything to laugh about.
I'm still double-sided in one way, but I'll be all right. Time heals, body heals.
Assault with intent to commit great bodily harm. Those are the charges that all 6 pleaded guilty to today. Now, in terms of the sentences, we're talking between 29 months to 10 years behind bars. In Detroit, I'm Hilary Golston, Fox 2 News.
Well, Hilary, we're glad to hear that this young man is out of the hospital and is on the road to recovery. Any word on the other 2 that were hurt?
Yeah, we do know that the other 2 did have some pretty serious issues. We understand there was a collapsed lung as well as also some fractures to bones. So they are at home recovering. We're happy to report that tonight. But it is important to note that there were 3 people in total who did suffer injuries. It just so happens that this gentleman we spoke to tonight had the most severe injuries. One other thing he said, you know what, he's done with interviews. That's it for him. He is done reliving this. It really was traumatic, Monica.
Yeah, time to heal.
So get this, she's already raised more than $2,000 and hopes to get to $5,000 by next summer. She is an ambitious young lady.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing considering that most people like myself, I don't carry cash around much anymore. So to raise that much money is pretty remarkable.
It is, and I bet you a lot of people know what she's doing, heard about it, and decided, I'm going to stop
Make a special trip
for a cup of lemonade. I know I definitely would, for sure. So how about this? I think we can all agree. There's nothing like a backyard barbecue.
I love it.
Something we can agree on?
That's definitely something we can agree on, for sure, yeah. And so after one pitmaster in Pennsylvania got word of this, the aroma of brisket, chicken, and ribs means more than just cooking on the weekend. News.
All right, so now that we're salivating back here,
right.
What's your fave?
Well, I typically like steak, but I keep it simple. I do burgers, dogs, and chicken at home. When I'm at my parents' house, and I know they're watching, and there's a bunch of people over, they have me do the steak because they don't want to, like, everybody has medium rare, medium. They don't want to mess with it, so they have me do it. And I'm happy to do it.
Yeah,
How about you?
Well, I actually have to agree with Z, who's right there. I definitely like a good hot dog, especially if it's over charcoal.
So barbecued hot dog.
Yeah, it's got to. I mean, you got to have the. I hear you over there, Woody. The hot dog is exactly where it's at. Just keep it simple. Put it in a bun. Get yourself a little, mustard and ketchup. You are absolutely good to go.
Zeke, come on over there.
It's got to be chicken.
Chicken? All right.
Well, Lori had some fantastic chicken. You got to put that on social media. That was looking kind of delicious. All right, so moving on.
All right, do we have to? I mean, wax poetic little on barbecue.
This is definitely a good discussion.
We will continue to follow this story and bring you more information as it breaks.
Sergio Marchionne, the now former head of Fiat Chrysler, is said to be gravely ill. The company replaced him yesterday because of his health. The 66-year-old had complications from surgery on his shoulder last month. An Italian news agency says his condition has gotten worse now. He is in extremely serious condition at a hospital in Switzerland. He has his family members thankfully by his side. Marchionne helped revitalize Chrysler, leading it back from bankruptcy nearly a decade ago. Mike Manley, the former head of Jeep and Ram, is Fiat Chrysler's new CEO.
I'm just so sad for him right now. How do you lose your wife and kids?
Oh, so incredibly sad. I'm sure you remember that mom and her 5 kids who were killed in a massive motel fire yesterday in Berrien County, not far from Benton Harbor. In the aftermath of that tragedy, people are struggling to make sense of what happened as investigators give us much more insight into what went on.
I'm just so sad for him right now. How do you lose your wife and kids?
The morning after, the realization is setting in. This fire left a dad and his 1-year-old daughter without the child's 26-year-old mother and 5 other brothers and sisters, ranging from 2 to 10 years old.
You know, all these people are worried about their things. They don't even realize, you know, this man lost 5 kids. 5 kids and his wife of 10 years.
Crews got to the Cosmo Extended Stay Hotel Saturday around 1:45 in the morning. It was stubborn, taking hours to get the massive blaze out, impacting every part of this building.
As I woke up, next to me, my bed was on fire.
Of course, it'll take some digging and time to figure out what ignited the deadly inferno. But the state fire marshal and ATF can confirm no accelerants were used. This man thinks the fire may have started in his room.
I said, oh my God, oh my God. I get the sheets, I wet them, and I tried to throw it on the bed. And as I throw it on the bed, it didn't work. So I asked the person that was above me for some salt. I tried to throw the salt on there. As I throw the salt on there, I hurry up and jump out. Once I jump out, the whole room explode.
Everyone else in the 27 occupied rooms got out. They have their lives, but so much of what they used to live, now ash and charred debris.
We lost our clothes, shoes, our money cards, food and everything. I mean, but at least we still alive. We didn't lose our lives like the unfortunate people, those babies being brought out lifeless. I mean, the only time I ever seen a dead body was when I went to funerals, but that was horrible.
Well, we've seen it before. The president's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, is ripping Michael Cohen for releasing recorded conversations he had with then-candidate Trump in 2016. Donald Trump sending a threat to Democrats coming up, what the president says will happen if he doesn't get funding for his wall, and how you'll be impacted. He's not backing down. Chris Gravlin quit his job as a federal prosecutor to run for Michigan Attorney General. Now he's filed a lawsuit to get his name on the November ballot. Gravlin wanted to run as an independent, but he didn't get enough signatures by the July 19th deadline. His lawsuit argues the rules for independent candidates are unconstitutional. Michigan law allows political parties to nominate candidates in August without forcing them to gather signatures. However, independent candidates must get 30,000 signatures within 6 months. Plus, a certain number must come from half the state's congressional districts. It looks like President Donald Trump will get his military parade, but it won't be exactly what he had in mind. The date is set. It's Saturday, November 10th. That's the day before Veterans Day. It would mark 100 years since the end of World War I. But the Defense Authorization Act that passed Congress last week bans forces from taking part in a parade that might be needed for war.
It says if any operational units are used, then Secretary Mattis has to certify that it will not affect readiness.
I've seen various different cost estimates from between, I think, 10 million and 30 million, depending on the size of the parade.
The D.C. City Council was concerned roads would be damaged by the heavy military hardware rolling down Pennsylvania Avenue, but a military spokesperson says tanks will not be used in the parade. Something to see.
Good on the airline for stepping up there, but that's rewarding some bad behavior by the bride there.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, sometimes, you know, things get a little heated when you have your special day approaching. You know, there's a lot of stress, and obviously they realize it's possible for the women to come back together, and let's hope
Let's do it. Get together.
Yes. Positivity. All right, coming up, The Equalizer 2 was #1 last week, but there's a new blockbuster on top. That's next on the Fox Beat. All right, on to another story. What is the most dangerous country in the developed world to give birth in? It's the United States. That's according to a new study by USA Today. The study found nearly 50,000 women are severely injured during childbirth each year. According to that report, 700 women die, and half of those deaths are preventable if correct safety measures were taken. The leading cause of deaths, hemorrhage and severe hypertension.